Hi, guys. You know what time it is. It's time for the Real Talk Sports Show. We're going to be talking NBA playoffs and NFL scandal. I can't believe what's going on in the NFL right now. But stay tuned. We'll be coming up right now. There we go. Now my mic's unmuted. I got to get that fixed. Hey, thank you for joining us here on the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons. We're with you today. Let me get my camera. There we go. There we go. A little bit better there. I got to lean over here some more. So I'm in the camera on the vertical because sometimes that vertical is a little different there. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, talking a little sports. NBA playoffs are here. Dun, 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 dun. They're here. And the good news is that for those of you living in the Atlanta area, you know that the Hawks, for the first time since the spectacular run by Trae Young and the crew back in the 2021-2022 season, the Hawks are in the playoffs for real. No play-in game, none of that stuff. Hawks not under 500. They look good, man. Ended up in sixth place overall. They had a shot to get in the fifth place, but kind of ran out of steam late. And kudos to the Raptors for turning it on and making things happen down the stretch. So here's the playoff bracket as it stands today. The number one overall seed for the East, of course, is the Detroit Basketball Pistons, and they are waiting for the winner who would be the eighth seed. Now, here's how this works. It's kind of convoluted. Basically, the way it's set up is that the 7, 8, 9, and 10 square off. 7 and 8 play. The winner of the 7 and 8 game is in, and they would play the number 2 ranked Boston Celtics. The loser of that game plays the winner of the 9-10 game. And then the winner of that game would then go on to play the Celtics. And right now, the way that looks is that the Sixers are 7th, Magic are 8th. So the winner of that game will go on to play the Celtics. And then the 8th seed will be decided in a playoff between Charlotte and Miami. And the winner of that game will then go on and play the loser of the Sixer Magic game. And the winner of that game will then, of course, go on to play the number 1 overall ranked Pistons. That's so convoluted that just says in the ESPN box, TBD, to be determined. Just saying. So it should be very interesting. But like I said, the Hawks, number 6 overall, you got to really give a big shout out to the Hawks team. They were dead in the water. I mean, they were just dead in the water, man. They had lost. Trae Young had come back from injury. They had lost 8 straight games. But kudos to the Hawks as they turned it on. At one point, had won 18 of 20 games and had one of the best records in the NBA in the second half of the season. And that surge actually got them, even though they're ranked 6th overall, they actually have the Eastern Conference broken in 2 divisions, the Southeast Division and the Atlantic Division. And once again, the Atlanta Hawks squeezed past the Orlando Magic and were actually the Southeast Division champion. And I got to tell you, folks, for people who always lambaste the NBA Eastern Conference this year, you got to give them credit. Everybody that's even in the play-in has a record over 500. And that's the first time that I can remember this has happened. And it was tight. Just to give you an idea, Atlanta won the Southeast Division by 1 game over the Orlando Magic, by just 2 games over Charlotte, and only 3 games over the Miami Heat. All of those teams were over 500. All of those teams had a minimum of 43 wins. And like I say, kudos and shout outs to the East. In the Atlantic, it was even tougher. Boston, 56-26. New York, 53-29. Toronto, 46-36. And Philadelphia, 45-37. So all these teams, they really balled out. And so big ups to the Eastern Division for really handling their business. And over there in the, I guess it would be called the I don't know if they would call that part of the Eastern Conference as well. But anyway, like I said again, big shout out to the Eastern Conference teams, man, who really balled out this year. And like I said, thanks for watching us here on the broadcast. Those of you who tuned in to check us out, we appreciate you, especially those of you who jumped in real quick on YouTube. Thank you so much. Hey, listen, so your thoughts here as we go into this opening round of the playoffs. We just talked about the East. Let's take a look at the Western Conference. And we got some really interesting matchups to open this thing up, especially as always with the 3-6 and the 4-5. The 4-5 will be the Lakers against the Rockets. That should probably be epic. LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and the Rockets have a very solid team, obviously with KD leading the way for the Rockets, and a guy from right here in the Atlanta area, Jabari Smith Jr., a guy that has made some big inroads for the Rockets. So that should be very interesting. And then we saw these two teams squared off a few years ago. The Nuggets against the Timberwolves. Remember now, the Nuggets just a couple of years ago won the NBA title. The Timberwolves have Ant-Man, and, you know, he's always a handful. So, again, these opening round games should be very, very interesting. Let's now go back to our matchup here, the Hawks against the Knicks. Obviously, we know Hawks and Knicks, no love lost between these two teams. And it all kind of started off a few years ago when Trae Young led Atlanta on that spectacular run to the Eastern Conference title, actually knocked off the Knicks in just 5 games. And so ever since then, as you would expect, the Knicks feeling some kind of way. And ever since then, the Knicks really kind of stuck it to the Hawks, and usually when they play. Let's go to ESPN and take a look at kind of what they're saying, the way this shapes up. They're saying the matchup, 70% favorable to the Knicks. So basically, the Knicks, they believe, have a 70% chance to win this series. The Hawks with just a paltry 30% chance to win this series. During the regular season, let's face it, the Knicks beat the Hawks 2 out of 3 games. And as a matter of fact, the last game was a thriller in Atlanta where the Knicks won 108-105, but it was a game that the Hawks really should have probably won that game. They were up by 10 in the third quarter, up by 5 with less than 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And due to the theatrics of Jalen Brunson, the Hawk killer, he ended up scoring 30 points and led the Knicks to victory and probably kept the Hawks out of that 5th spot in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. So let's look at the tail of the tape here. Look at some of the player stats. The leaders for both teams. First of all, Jalen Brunson, as I mentioned to you already, 26 points a game for him, and he averages 6.8 assists. On the rebounding side, Karl-Anthony Towns, 11.9 rebounds a game, and he does a good job on offensive boards, gets at least 3 offensive boards a game. And meanwhile, for the Hawks, a guy who many people feel should be on the All-NBA team, Jalen Johnson, has a breakout season this year. He averaged 22.5 points a game, 10.3 rebounds a game, and 7.8 assists from the forward spot. And he had multiple triple-doubles throughout the year. So he was really a stud for the Hawks throughout the year. And I will say he's going to be the key because I got to tell you, he had some stretches in the season that he really just didn't shoot that well in the clutch. So I'm just wondering, is the moment too big for him, or will Jalen Johnson be able to step up and really be able to be the key factor for the Hawks? Let's go to social media. On YouTube, it looks like a Jaman-J41 says, hello, how you doing? He says, hey, what's up, brother? If you're still watching us, thank you for tuning into our broadcast. We appreciate you, and we say hi to you. And salute. I found out something. We do have a group of our fans that actually are from the Philippines. We have some followers from the Philippines. So if you're out there watching, I'm not sure what time it is out there in the Pacific, but thank you again for tuning in to the broadcast. All right, let's get back to the tail of the tape with the Hawks and the Knicks. Knicks won 53 games, and 50-plus games in the NBA, if you win at least 50 games, you're doing well. You're doing quite well. The Knicks, the key for them was defense. They averaged 116 points a game in terms of offense. Actually, 116.5, but defensively, they're pretty good. They only allowed 110 points a game defensively, and they had an overall plus-minus difference of 5.4 points a game. So the Knicks are very, very tough, and they were 6-4 in their last 10 games, so a very, very stout down the stretch. Meanwhile, take a look at the Hawks. The Hawks, to their credit, also which was a big turning point for this Hawk team, a team that normally was notoriously known for bad defense. The Hawks found a way to tighten it up with the length and with the what I call active hand style of defense that they use. Hawks only gave up 110 points a game on average, just a shade better than the Knicks, and they scored on average about 118.5 a game, as you're saying there. Excuse me, the Hawks gave up about 116. I got to get my glasses because I can't see a daggone thing. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, Hawks a plus 2.8 rating. Again, anytime you're in the plus, always good. They, like the Knicks, 6-4 in their last 10 games. And unfortunately, the last game was a blowout against the Heat, but the Heat were playing to get into that playoffs and get good seeding. The Hawks, meanwhile, had already clinched a spot in postseason. Like I said, the Hawks are a team that most people are saying around the NBA that nobody really wants any part of this Hawk team because, like I said, again, they were red hot in the second half, won 18 or 20 games down the stretch, and propelled themselves from being and also ran into being a team that was very, very effective. And besides Jalen Johnson, they got some other key cogs in this team that make them very, very tough. One of them is Dyson Daniels, a guy that last year was in the top 5 in the balloting for NBA Defensive Player of the Year, and I'm sure he'll be once again on the All-NBA defensive team. This guy averages 2 steals a game for the Hawks, and he has had stretches where he's been averaging close to 3 steals a game. Absolute defensive stalwart, active hands, very, very slick, plays the passing lanes as good as anybody. But the other thing he brings to you is the ability to rebound the basketball. At 6'7", this guy playing the guard position, he is very, very effective for the Hawks, especially on offensive rebounds. If you look at his stats, Dyson Daniels averaged just under 7 rebounds a game and just under 6 assists a game. But like I said, more importantly, averaged 2 steals per game. As I mentioned to you, offensive rebounding, this is where the guy was outstanding. He actually led the Hawks in offensive rebounding with almost 2.5 a game. Like I said, from a 6'7" forward, what that kind of tells you is that rebounding is more about want to than size. About want to than size. The other thing that makes the Hawks a team that is going to be a threat in postseason is the fact that the Hawks have a lot of depth, and they really are some of their parts. And you say, what do I mean by that? If you look at this team, they have most games where they win, all 5 starters are in double figures. And they're led by the big 3, which is, as I mentioned, Jalen Johnson, 22.5 a game. This next man probably should be an odds-on favorite to win Most Improved Player, which is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Walker, who basically was like a 6th or 7th man on the Timberwolves, has come to Atlanta and has balled out. A guy who has been a really outstanding all-around player. Second on the team to Dyson Daniels, steals 1.3 a game. But more importantly, he's a 3-point sniper, a killer. He averages 20.8 points a game, but he's averaging not too far under 40% from 3. He's been an absolute stud for the Hawks and has been clutch in the fourth quarter. Another guy that has been outstanding this year is C.J. McCollum. They got him in the trade for Trae Young, and he's really given them not the same amount of scoring, but certainly not too far off the pace. 18.7 points a game for C.J. McCollum. Again, a guy when he's hot, very, very tough from 3-point range, averages about 4 assists a game. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker, just so you know, also just a shade under 4 assists a game. Then you look at Onyeka Okongwu, another guy that has blossomed under the tutelage of Coach Quinn Snyder. He's become himself a 3-point sniper, 15.2 points a game, averages just over 7.5 rebounds a game, and even from the center spot, just about 3 assists a game. The Hawks team is really very well laid out. Like I said, you have a total of, let's count them here, you got, like I said, Dyson Daniels averaging 11.9. You have another guy who just came into this team who I think if he can find his game is going to make the Hawks very, very tough. Got him in a trade. Jonathan Kuminga has come to the Hawks and averaged about 12 points a game. He's also averaging just a tick over 5 rebounds a game, and he is a downhill player that when he gets rolling, he can really be a huge spark for this team off the bench. just again, let's break it down here. The guys in double figure. Jalen Johnson, 1, 22.5. Nickeil Alexander, 2 at 20.8. We look at CJ McCollum, 3, 18.7. We look at Onyeka Okongwu at 4, 15.3. We look at Dyson Daniels, 11.9. And wait, there's more. We also take a look at Jonathan Kuminga, 12.3. So the Hawks have not 1, not 3, but they have 6 starters, 6 players that average in double figures. The other thing is this Hawks team is one of the best teams in the NBA in terms of assists. All right, wait a minute. Let's go back to social media. And on Facebook, we have our good friend, Sully. And he says simply, guys, oh, shucky ducky, it's that time again. The one and only shucky ducky, old man Sully, is back in the building. And of course, yours truly, Pastor Jay Slice, is here. But remember, not on the green. Yes, indeed. Now, Shucky's saying, where's Tree? So what happened to Shucky is that, Tree is taking care of her dad. And I have been derelict duty and making sure to give her the proper advance notice so she can make her to be on the show. The other thing, too, is that on a lot of these shows, I'm only doing a half an hour because I'm putting a lot of hours in at work. And for those of you who don't know, I work for Allen Vigil Ford and Lincoln down in Morrow, Georgia. So if you need a car for yourself or your family, come and check me out. Speaking of that, we're going to take a quick little station break. Don't go anywhere. Come back for more of the Real Talk Sports Show. We're going to talk about the scandal that went on in the NFL. I can't believe it.
Looking for a vehicle? Come to Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We're a family-owned dealership that's been serving the Atlanta area for over 40 years, offering an unbeatable selection of new Fords, Lincolns, and pre-owned vehicles. Enjoy our exceptional customer service and great financing options tailored just for you. Visit us at 6790 Mount Zion Boulevard in Morrow, Georgia, located just 20 minutes from downtown Atlanta. Call us at 678-364-3979 or visit online at allenvigilford.net.
This is Patrick Willis, and this is Real Talk Sports.
Yeah, Patrick Willis was kind enough to give us a drop. We met him at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and we had predicted very easily that he would be in the Hall of Fame. And voila, he now is in the Hall of Fame, one of the best linebackers in NFL history. Speaking of NFL, scandal has rocked the NFL as we have all the makings of infidelity, adultery, all those things all combined together, and a possible misuse of media credentials and access to get stories. And of course, unless you've been hiding somewhere in a cave. Dianna Russini from The Athletic has resigned after photos of her and Mike Vrabel have hit the internet with a fury. And let me just kind of read this report. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. From Yahoo Sports, and they'll give you a little background. He says, Dianna Russini resigns from The Athletic after photos with Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel and an investigation. It goes on to say this, and this is written by Chris Quick. He's a contributing writer for Yahoo Sports. Veteran NFL reporter Dianna Russini resigned from The Athletic on Tuesday after an investigation following the emergence of images of her and New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel, and she announced this on Tuesday. It says the images were originally published by the New York Post. It featured Russini and Vrabel holding hands, dancing, and sitting in a hot tub together in a luxury hotel in Arizona. Russini put out a copy of resignation on X to the Athletic, the executive director of the Atlantic. It's not right. The Athletics, Stephen Ginsburg. Now, I'm not going to get into this. I mean, basically, she basically says in this that the Athletic originally supported her, and she said that things continue to escalate. I'm paraphrasing. She said, I'm going to kind of, get out while they're getting out good. So what makes this, kind of a scandal, and a bigger scandal, is the fact that both of them are married, number one. Okay, that's problem number one. Number two, they were in a hotel that is designed primarily for adults. So this is not somewhere you can kind of bring kids. So usually when you have places that are designed for adults, people are there to do adult things. Now, the hope is that the people that are doing adult things are married, and there's no problem with that. But in this case, they're both are married, but it's somebody else. Let's go to social media. And this is Bree McGrew says, hey, what's up, Bree? And then C. Cardi said, "Yo, what's up? How y'all doing? Everybody's doing good." Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm just going to tell you something. And this the preacher being just very very real here. That's what's called Real Talk Sports. Sports is in fact entertainment, and sports mixes a lot of things that lends itself to people misconducting themselves in close quarters. It's got all the things that create these problems. Number one, you have males and female adults interacting in close quarters, and oftentimes, having, I don't say intimate conversation, but interviews. You get to often know a person as you continue to cover a person. Sometimes you get to know them very well. Also, when you move into the upper echelon of sports reporting, you have a certain rapport oftentimes that you will get with the individuals that you are covering. And hence, oftentimes, the closer you get to the people, the more candid, which means the more impactful your reporting will be. The problem is with this is that oftentimes the line blurs between professional interaction and in personal interaction. And this is the problem that we have here with Ms. Rossini. Let me go to the social media here and answer this question. We have C. Cardi saying, Denver, Minnesota, who's your favorite and why? Okay, of all the series that are going on, this one is probably the most epic and the one that is kind of disappointing. It has to be a first round. It happens like this. Both of these teams are stout. I give a slight edge to Denver only because they've won it before. And because with Nikola Jokic, you probably have the guy that is, if not the best player in the NBA right now, certainly one of the top 3 players in the NBA. And he has, like I said, taken his team to the title. And they have gone deep into the Western Division playoffs on multiple occasions. So it's going to make them tough out. Now, on the flip side, you have the Timberwolves who are chomping at the bit. They have Ant-Man. He's got a lot to prove. He wants to prove that he can carry his team Jordan-esque style. But if you had to ask me right now who I want to lean to, I'm going to have to pick Denver. Because like I said, I just think because they've been there, done that, and Nikola Jokic he's him. If you don't believe me, I want you to kind of take a look at these stats for a second here. I'm going to just go over this really quick and then get out of here. Look at the stats right now for the season. Look at this. Rebounds per game. NBA leader, Nikola Jokic, 12.9 rebounds a game. This next stat is ridiculous. At the center position, the leader in assists overall in the NBA is Nikola Jokic, a 7-foot, almost 300-pound center, is averaging just under 11 assists a game. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And oh, by the way, if you want to know what his overall stat was, he also, in terms of scoring, was still ranked in the top 10. He was number 8 overall at 27 points a game. So basically, the guy almost averaged a triple-double from the center position. Matter of fact, he did average a triple-double for the year. 27.7 points a game scoring, 12.9 rebounds, and 10.7 assists a game. And the last guy that was dominant like that was Russell Westbrook. And Russell Westbrook wasn't on a championship team, whereas Nikola Jokic is. And that's the thing about this guy. As long as he's playing for Denver, they're going to be a tough out. And like I said, the guy's stat line is ridiculous. I mean, he does everything well. He's shooting almost 57% from the floor. He's shooting 38% from 3 at the center spot, okay? 83% from the foul line. And like I just mentioned, almost 13 rebounds and almost 11 assists a game. And oh, by the way, also gets 1.5 steals a game. Yeah, I mean, the guy's stats are just insane. And so that's why I'm going to lean towards the guys over in Denver to be able to pull this off. Again, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. Like I said, again, we make these shows kind of short on Tuesday night, but we appreciate you guys tuning in. And remember, If in fact you have not done so already, please follow us on social media at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. And we're that way on all social media platforms. And remember, if you're on YouTube, you know what to do. Subscribe, and please subscribe to our channel. Like I said, Real Talk Sports, the number 7. I'll put it up for you right now so you guys will know what it is so you can see it. Like I said, Real Talk Sports, the number 7 on all platforms. Here it is. Dun, 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 dun. Bam! Real Talk Sports, the number 7. If you want to follow me personally, I do more inspirational stuff on Minister Jason. But there it is. Follow the show at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. And speaking of ministry, that is my prime function here. I am, in fact, the minister of the gospel of, I'm going to use the government name, Yeshua HaMashiach, which simply means Jesus Christ. And I got to tell you guys, I mean, it is really now getting a little bit hard for me to do sports only because of the serious nature of where we find ourselves in this world today. I don't know about you, but you almost have to be blind as a bat to not realize that the world is rapidly coming to an end. And so therefore, we need to kind of make plans on how are we going to handle this. The other thing too is none of us here are immortal. At some point, all of us are going to leave this world and you're going to spend time in your eternal life somewhere else. And so you have two options. You either can go to that wonderful, spectacular, beautiful place where all the people of love are, including God himself, called heaven. And in case you're not familiar, heaven is the spot. Unimaginable beauty. The walls and the doors to the city are all paved with the most beautiful jewels and the rarest jewels on earth. And the streets are paved with a gold that's so pure it's translucent. And guess what there's none of? There's no bad people anywhere. There's no pandemic. You never get old. You never cry. You never die. It's always sunny because the glory of God illuminates the place. So it never gets dark. And it never gets cold. It never gets too hot. It's like perfect. And you're perfect. So you got no aches and pains, no nothing. And there's no bad things going on at all. Happy and joyful all the time. You even get to see angels. And it's just unbelievable. And you see Jesus Christ, the one who died for you face to face. So how do you do it? First of all, you have to repent of your sins. And you say, well, man, I've been a pretty good person. You understand, in order to get into heaven, you got to be perfect. And since none of us is perfect, the only way we can be perfect in God's eyes is that we have to believe in his son, Jesus Christ, that he died and rose from the dead. And if you repent of your sins and believe that, two great things happen to you. Number one, you become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And number two, an adopted child of God with all the rights therein. That means you now can go to God like a heavenly parent, asking for anything that you need or desire, and according to his will, he'll give it to you. As I mentioned, when you die, you go to that wonderful, spectacular place called heaven. And you avoid that nasty place called hell. Well, all the things that I mentioned are in heaven will not be there in hell. In fact, you're locked up with the devil, all his demonic hosts, all the worst people ever to live on the earth. It's dark, it's dreary, it's fiery. Just imagine like your worst day and multiply it by 1,000,000. That's what you have every day for eternity. I don't know about you, but I like option number one instead of option number two. All right, guys, listen, until the next time we get back together again, I simply say as I do each week, God bless you and have a wonderful rest of the day or evening. Wonderful rest of the day or evening, whichever may apply. So long and take care. See you.